On Monday, March 14th, so I will call to order the regular school board meeting of the Madison Central School District. Mr. Brooks will record the members present and absent, and we do have a quorum, so let's move on to item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or additions? Yep. All right, I'd entertain a motion then to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Hanemichael.
Second.
Mr. Avery. Further questions or discussion? All in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the agenda is approved. Item number 6 is approval of the consent agenda items 7 through 9. First of that is item number 7, approval of the minutes of the February 14th meeting. Next were our financials, which are posted, and Mr. Avery, myself, and Mr. Hanemichael went through. I think any questions we had were addressed by Mr. Brooks. And then that takes us on to number 9, a series of personnel actions. Mr. Jorgensen.
Yep, we have a few personnel actions. Resignations, Becky Fearson as elementary teacher, and Renee Boyd as high school English teacher. And then Danielle Kenninger as head girls basketball coach, contingent on a replacement, and Jill Young as assistant girls basketball coach, that would be contingent on a replacement. Request to hire Ashley Cross as a full-time custodian at $13.40 an hour. Emily McGow and Houston Lundy as playground supervisors at $10 per hour. And then every year we do our annual reduction in force for our Title I teachers. These would be our 2 part-time, would be Lori Macheski and Kim Seitz. And this is until we find out what we'll be receiving for Title I funds.
So the recommendation of the administration is approval of the personnel actions. At this time, I would entertain then a motion for approval of the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hanemichael. Further questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the consent agenda items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare consent agenda items are approved. Anyone here to address us? Mr. Ricky, come on down.
I'm just a quick comment. Wrestling, if you remember, we entered into a co-op with Oldham Ramona and Rutland for that. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. They did send 4 wrestlers over, 2 middle schoolers, 2 high schoolers. Everything went well, visiting with Mr. Waba. No one took, they have a couple kids that they think might be able to help them out in varsity next year, but they wrestled JV all year. It was a great experience from our end, and Andrew Johnson and Jason Hansen, who are the athletic directors for Oldham Ramona and Rutland, just wanted me to express their gratitude for allowing us to have that co-op, and hope that we can continue to have that co-op for years to come.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good news. Anyone else? And that takes us on to item number 11, Administrator's Report.
I'll just touch on a couple items. Excuse me. COVID levels, as went out the other day, we're at 0 right now in all buildings, which is nice. Obviously, it's dropped off dramatically from January. Legislative session is over. I say that with enthusiasm.
Yes.
Tired of listening to it on the computer, but total there were 551 bills this session, which is not the most ever, but it's right up there. Quite a few bills. We were tracking about 68 bills that would have dealt with education. Some very minor would have dealt with education, really weren't on our radar that much. We had a few obviously that we opposed, and we did get most of those killed. And we had some that we supported, and I think we got 3 of those through. So all in all, there weren't any big major changes. There's a couple that dealt with medical marijuana that we'll probably have to review and see if it's gonna affect what we have in place right now or not. We've got some time to get that done. I don't know that it's gonna change what we have in place a lot. One of the bills, I can't remember if it was 9 or 5, whichever, or 15, one of those three dealt more with employees. So we'll just have to take a closer look at that one and make sure that, and I'm sure ASBSD will be coming out with some information for us on that. Currently, for open positions, but we did get the 6% funding for education, which is what we were hoping for all along, which is great. That will help us out tremendously. Open positions, right now as we move forward, we have high school English and elementary counselor and an elementary teacher. We'll have a high school staff opening. Then we got head girls basketball, assistant girls basketball, head football, assistant football, some middle school coaching positions, summer groundskeeper, and as always, bus drivers. So we'll be working on that moving forward as we start to prepare for the 22-23 school year. So that's where we're at right now.
Mr. Brooks, you have anything? Anybody else have any questions or comments? I think the other piece that affects us greatly was the athletic facilities were approved and signed and ready to go forward with that. So they're meeting already, I hear, with architects and other things to make things happen. I heard that they might even be having a little bit of a groundbreaking coming soon, so.
Well, I did see Mr. Nielsen today, and I asked, but the field is not done yet, so we'll have to wait a while. Thinking maybe they fast tracked it, but they.
Anything else on administrator's report?
Can I ask one question on that?
Yes.
This should not affect our fall football schedule at all, right?
Right now, everything we have is that work on the football will not start until after the season.
Right, they're gonna start behind, okay.
We'll start behind on the track, where the new track area will be.
And the plan, I believe, is, correct me, Mike, if I'm wrong, because you've been more a part of this, but that the track will be ready for next spring is what they're planning.
That's the plan as I understand it.
Yeah. The soccer and track will be the first to be worked on, and that all sits north of the existing facilities and in the land that was acquired, is my understanding. Anything else? All right, next on to item number 12, a dishwasher proposal. We're so used to not even having a projector that we don't have it. We all have access to it, so.
We were fortunate, we received 4 bids for this. We selected the dishwashing machine that had an energy recovery unit, which is after the first cycle or two. It just holds cold water and it heats that up. It doesn't take hot water from a hot water heater. It also has a pre-rinsing station and stuff. The low price that came in was Institution Services out of Sioux Falls for $58,638. We also then priced for installation with electrical, plumbing, and the venting, and they provided a price of $10,370. So that's a low bid on the unit. So we would recommend to approve. Last year we went out for pricing on this, and it was about 10 to 15,000 higher. A lot of that was just speculation on what the trade piece would be. So got, I think, a very favorable price on it.
Say, Mitch,
Yeah.
so I see the NA on the prices for, is that for installation price over there?
Yeah, yep.
With the NAs?
The people that are further away or not in our region, they didn't bid the installation.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
then that would be something we would line up. But the current person has 2 local vendors that will be doing that.
Would assume that availability is there also.
It sounds like it should be here that we could do after school's
Okay.
out, and then we'll line up the
Good.
work for that.
Good. All right, so recommendation would be that we accept the low bid on the dishwasher proposal, which is from IS Restaurant Design. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Hanemichael?
Second.
Mr. Avery? Boy, it's easier to tell who's making these motions when we're this
Yes.
close too.
Uh-huh.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the dishwasher proposal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare we have a new dishwasher.
Yay.
All right, now, for the next hour and a half, Mr. Brooks will be going through our audit report. Not, if he is, we're gonna yank his chain a little bit, so.
Four highlights. I just wanted to, I'll point out some pages. On page 8, you'll see a really nice 3D color pie chart. That's just our revenues and our expenses. You can see where our revenues and expenses come from. Good.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to point that out. That's one of my nicer pie charts.
That is very nice.
It's kind of fun. And then on page 11, just to highlight our outstanding debt, we have $9,537,000 in outstanding debt. Last year we had $10,341,000. I'm just kind of rounding, but just to show where our outstanding debt is sitting on there. Probably the most key page is page 18. That shows all of our fund balances. So you can see towards the bottom on page 18, I'll let you guys kind of get there, it's a sideways page. You'll see the net change in fund balance, which shows a negative $329,000. That's what we spent the fund balance to fund last year's budget, and that's something we had planned. I just want to make sure you highlight it. So we ended the year with $1.8 million in our fund balance. So that's kind of key number, and you can see then the fund balances for the other funds, and this is online for everybody that wants to go through it. The fund balance percentage was 21.5%. What the state counts for us is called cash balance, what cash we have on hand in our lowest month. We were 13.8% on the cash balance.
And those now, with Blue Ribbon, have to be under 20, is it?
The cash balance has to be under 25 for us.
25, okay.
Yeah, so we're under
We're
that.
good.
And then just the last piece on page 60, the second to last page, we have the same audit finding we've had in all the previous years, segregation of duties, and it's noted by our auditors that we just don't have enough staff to split the job duties on there. And then our corrective action is it's not worth the value of employing another person just to segregate the duties out. You'd rather use the funds elsewhere. So that's kind of the overview of the audit report. Did anybody have questions they wanted of it?
One, just comment,
Okay.
the duties that are not segregated,
Okay.
if there was an issue, would be found in the audit. I mean,
Well, that's, you know, yeah, probably. I mean, there's always things that can be done. You know, like if we have taking gates at a activity, would we know if somebody took the money out of there or not? We do have cameras, we do have people, but if we had 2 or 3 people there, and then same thing when they turn into our office, we have our processes. I can't count if I do the deposits, if we had 2 people counting. So we'd get double people. So like a Brookings, I think, has 7 or 8 people, and they are able to not have that write-up.
Right.
But they have, you know, we just have our 2.
I would say all but probably 6 or 8 schools in the state have that same write-up.
And cities and counties.
Yeah.
We get the same write-up in the SBSD also, just because of the smallness of
Right.
Yeah.
the business staff there too.
I just want to stress that, I mean, I think it would be caught if there was something.
It all comes down to the honesty of people.
So Mitch, on your charts, the 6%, where does that money come and going to increase from the state?
For which one, the revenue?
Yeah, is that the blue piece that gets increased by 6%?
So the formula gets increased, so it depends on how much our property taxes change, because there's 2 components. So there's the property tax piece. So if our valuations of our district go up 12%, we don't get 6% from the state, but our formula gets 6%. So it just depends on where our valuations come in. So they have what's called a Cutler-Gabriel. They adjust the mill levies based on the state's valuation changes. So it's maybe not that the state gave a full 6, they just gave a formula 6. But, so that'll show up between taxes and state resources, or state sources.
So in the end, it will be
It
6%?
will be 6, yes, yeah.
But it may not all be state aid, it will be local effort is the other term.
Yeah.
So
Very
we
good.
do-
It varies from school to school again.
Yeah, and in our situation, we see a full 6, yeah. Other people could get reduced down because of other revenues, but other revenues factors it for us. So we'll see the 6.
Other questions on the audit? Well, then the next thing that we need to do is we need to approve that audit. So I'd entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Avery. Further questions or discussion? Thank you, Mr. Brooks, for the job you do, and thank you for the audit that we get. Very good. Further questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the audit signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the audit is approved. Do we want to talk about future audits now or not?
So, one thought is, with this audit, we can go out to bid for auditors, if we feel, if you as a board are happy with our report, we can continue on with them. If you feel there's services or something else you want to see from them, we can go out and look to see if there's another auditing firm there. There's probably 5 or 6 that go around the state doing them. I think Guam, Berglund, and Chainfish do the majority of the schools. Do you have, but as a board, it's your audit, do you have are you wanting to go out and seek bids, or any thoughts of that? And we talked briefly on it, but
Do you have some feelings one way or the other? I think they do a wonderful job. The thing that I've seen with other auditors is, just as we were informally chatting, that they'll come in and be gone and come in and be gone and things. These folks come in, get their work done, and get things back to us in a timely manner. And I know I've participated several times in their post-visit type things, and they're very professional with what they get done. So I myself see no reason to switch.
I don't believe we'd see any difference in pricing wise, it'd just be in what services they do.
And we're required annually to have it done, so. Okay. Boy, did you guys pick a good meeting to come to. We're done. You have to leave now.
Oh, dang it.
But you can come next month if you want.
No.
Because we're gonna go into a session to prepare for negotiations, so that means it's just the board that has the opportunity to stay. So, thank you for attending.
Yes.
If it would be all right, we have to do like an interview and just kind of ask a few questions. So one of the things that I would kind of like to ask is there anyone like specifically in charge of like kind of like COVID around the school district? Is there anyone?
I think they should come sit down. I think they sit. There's 2 chairs. Come down now.
Yes.
Because we have some questions, I'm sure, for you too.
In answer to the question, there is a group, there's a committee, but the day-to-day type decisions are managed by Mr. Jorgensen based upon the policies and procedures that were developed by the Back to School Committee.
Okay, so then I think my big question would be, what do you kind of like see in the future that you kind of want for COVID? Like, what are you kind of looking at for the school that, like, I don't know, you're gonna try and change around COVID? Like, do you think it will continue at the level it's at, and if it has, like, what do you think that will change?
Okay, so
But here's what I would say on that. Yes, I hope it goes away, but I don't know if it's ever going to totally go away. But that's why that committee then, and part of the requirement is every 6 months, at the least every 6 months, we have to review that plan. But as you've seen, as the year goes on, we've reviewed it every month or every other month and made changes along the way. So I would hope that at some point, we don't see like it was in January, that we have it be more of whether they're talking whether it's like the flu every year and that type of thing, but we don't know yet, I guess. I hope that's where we're at, and I certainly have my fingers crossed that's where we'll be at, but we won't know until we get down the road a little farther.
Thank you.
Good question though.
I also have a question. What's one of the major things we've done to stop the spread of COVID, and what's one thing that, looking at the past, we could have done better?
Well, hindsight is great. Originally, I think we tried to do everything from, and if the scouts are ever looking for plexiglass, that's something that we will sell at some point.
Maybe instead of the Klondike Derby, they can have the plexiglass
Yeah.
derby.
The hard part about the year before is that nobody knew enough about any of it, so we did anything and everything we could. whether it was masks the whole year, whether it was plexiglass, whether it was the ionizer guns that we got, or ionizer sprayers for the buildings and the buses. How we had seating in the elementary. We had a lot of the elementary, some of them ate in the classroom, only because we just didn't know. And as we turned to the Department of Health and others, they didn't know either. So we did a lot of the things along the way. I hope that what we were doing helped and made it better. As we looked at other schools, I think our numbers showed that we were doing the right thing. And if there was one perfect thing out there, we all would have done it. So I think every school had to look at it differently and what they had for space in their rooms. And so is there something we do different? I'm sure if we all sat back with committee, there's probably something, but I'm more about looking forward than looking backwards. I'm hoping that we can have very minor things as we move forward as far as what we have to do to try and make it work for us.
Okay, I think that's all we have. Is there anything you guys have for us?
I'd say the air purification system that
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned there was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a great one.
We did that right away before we even knew we were gonna get some ESSER dollars to put that in. I can't remember, Mitch, was 180,000 or it was a lot. But that went into every building. And one thing we did notice the year before, we didn't see near the strap, near the, whether that was the mask, I don't know. But that was a big item, and the board made that move out of capital outlay dollars before we knew we'd ever get any ESSER dollars to help pay for it. So it's been obvious that the safety of the students and staff was the top priority.
Will you guys be willing to state your name and your troop, just because this is recorded and put
What's your
online for
names?
those that are at home?
Yeah, my name's Henry Meyer. I'm with Troop 5.
I'm Nathan Hazelton, and I'm also from Troop 5.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
How long have you guys been scouts?
Oh.
Since I was 11, so like 3 years.
Okay.
I think I've been in Scouts. How young can you start?
Well, you can start as a cub.
Yeah, I started in California,
Okay.
where I was from. I started joining in meetings when I was around 8-ish, because my brother was in it and my mother was teaching some of it.
Okay.
So I'd say probably around 8, so that's about 8 years.
I'm curious about the round patch above your shoulders there, above your shoulders.
This one, I got this one a long time ago. I can't really see it right now. This is just signifying that I'm a Boy Scout, I believe.
Okay, that's the new official patch.
Yeah.
But does it say Boy Scouts or Scouts?
I think ours are say boys.
Okay, just was curious.
You guys know
Before the
Mason?
official.
Have you ever heard of Mason Avery?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
And he was in the Boy Scouts, wasn't
Yeah, Mason was, yeah.
he? And he made it to a certain level, I believe.
He made the Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the most challenging thing that you guys have to do?
Procrastination.
Yeah.
Just kind
Yeah,
of
it is.
finding the will to just be like, I should just kind of do some of this on my free time because we don't really get enough time per week to do it at Scouts. And then even that time is not really supposed to be for the stuff that we need to get done. So I think just really procrastination and then just procrastinating and not doing it would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, because there are a lot of younger Scouts coming in, we have to teach them a lot of what we know. And it's, I have one merit badge left to do, and I think Henry's done. But after that, we do our Eagle Scout projects, and then we're done.
So do you have your projects selected yet?
Yeah, actually, I would, I know I was talking to Mr. Ricky, I would like to kind of do some general repair on the tennis courts, and
Okay.
especially the tennis walls would be my main area of focus.
And I have no
Make
idea.
a note of that.
Got that.
Well, thank you guys very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
In case you're wondering, April 11th is the next meeting.
Okay.
Just
We got some more that need to come in.
Okay, so come April 11th.
Of course.
All right, thank you much.
Thanks for coming.
But you guys drew the good straw, definitely.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Sue or Mary, you guys have anything?
What was Hamilton's project, closing project?